Welcome to part 4 of the video review of the Wei Jiang Evasion Mode Optimus Prime Oversized Edition. And today I'm going to go over the transformation of truck to bot mode. And what I'll try to do is to point out some of the details in the transformation that you may want to consider when you're going through the process yourself. So first thing you're going to want to do is to take the tanks off the side and put them down. And some people have said that this is a bit of the parts former part of it, which I think they're really being nitpicky about, if that's what you're saying, because of course these even in the movie design are intended to become the gun which sit on the back of the robot anyhow. So having to remove these and put them somewhere else, I don't think calling that a parts former element is necessarily fair. But if you're gonna get really picky about it, I do understand. But no big deal for me. And so once you're done with that, what you're probably gonna want to do is to close down the mirrors, because you no longer need to have them sticking out. And then go back here and reduce the smokestacks and separate the back panels. And I like to fold them away at this stage just so that I don't have to come back to them and deal with them later. But you can go ahead and do that now as well. And I like to hold on to the smokestacks when I'm doing that and just kind of bring them down like that and pull it there. And I also like to pull them out a little bit on the hinge just so that I get a little bit of wiggle room and a little bit of play. Okay. And once I'm there, pull these two back panels out. And the reason you want to do this now is because in the next spot we're going to remove the front panel and flip the head assembly up, and you can't really get that motion here when these are in the way because you'll get collisions between here and here. Okay, so go ahead and open those up. And the other thing you're going to want to do is to fold these panels that are the back of the arms up and out of the way too, because they've got these tabs which you can see right here, which holds this in place because it seats on them. But put it down and get these out of the way and get them up so you can get free motion on that head assembly. Okay. And when you come out and take a look at the front, you can see here that there's this gap here in the grill. And this is intended for you to be able to get your fingers in, because if you take a look, you can see that this panel in this space is relatively flush around, and you don't want to really be sticking your finger in there and trying to pry it out. That can be a little bit bothersome. They've been nice enough to include in the original design this finger space for you, so get your thumb or finger in there and just pull it open and flip it up. You can reveal the head and side, and then you can rotate this piece up. Now don't rotate it all the way out, just bring it out to about right there, and what you're trying to do is create an open space in here for you to be able to rotate the hands out. But before you can do that, you've got to take this assembly here and separate it from the side panels, because it's held in place by 3 tabs here, here, and here. Okay, and in order to do that, go ahead and free up these spaces down here, which are the bottom tabs, and start to work the tabs free along the space here. And what that'll allow you to do is separate this assembly and bring it forward, as it is attached to the wheels from tabs here. Okay, maybe you can see that. And it is on both sides. Okay. So go ahead and work through and start freeing up this assembly. Start from the bottom going up if you can. And then when you've got it enough, that piece will pop out just like that, as you can see. And then do the same on the other side. Oh, whoops, came out really quick there. And you can see I'm free now and it's already starting to bend down, but there are 2 hinges in here, one that will allow you to fold the face down and another that will allow you to pull it out. So if you take a look, I'm now able to free myself from these wheel tabs. I can pull it out, okay, fold this face down and up here, and you can see there's a hinge in here and one right here, which should allow you to get this whole space open and ready to get the arms through. Okay. In order to get the arms through, you're going to want to pay attention to these tabs, which may have collision here. Okay, but the hands are here and will fold up and out. Keep these sandwich boards in this position here, where this smokestack is on the underside of the glass panels, or I guess the chest doors, because what you're going to do is you're going to fold this piece out, and you want these panels to swing free underneath cleanly. And what you do is start folding the arm upwards out of here, and pay attention to this joint as well, because this is your swing hinge joint here. And grab the fist and start turning it up, and you can see it. The rounded piece here is where it's clearing itself and starts to come over. Okay, and the goal is to bring this arm piece clear of the head. Okay, so put the head up if you want. I like to fold the fingers back so it's out of the way, and then clear that head piece. And as soon as I clear that head piece, I can start to rotate this panel now. So I'll go ahead and do that now. And as I rotate, you can see here that there's nothing in its way, and you can complete the rotation all the way around. If you look like you're about to have collision, you can extend this even further, just like that, and then have a clean rotation all the way through. And you can see everything came through pretty cleanly there. Okay, and once I have that, I like to peg up the sandwich board, which, as we fold it, there's a peg here, which will go in the slot here. Fold that down and put it away. And then in order to get everything else just kind of nice and tidy, I just swing the arm down, click it out a couple, straighten it out, and complete the folding of the back of the arm right here. Okay, and you can see it's starting to take shape there. Alright, let's do the same on the other side. Pay attention to the swinging joint, the tab that will have a little bit of collision there, and start to swing this piece up through the fist. Okay, fold up my fingers, get them out of the way, make sure I clear the head nice and cleanly. Okay, as soon as I get full clearance of the head, I'll start to rotate this panel upwards. Now, one thing I'll point out is you want to leave the legs or the back of the truck in this position, because you can't really rotate this down right away, because what will happen is it'll move this wheel well, and with this in place, you'll start to get collision with the wheel along the edges of this whole panel. So this panel really has to be clear before these legs can start to come down, right? If I were to show you, it would look like this. You can see as I start to bend it, it's already pushing up against here, so leave that till after you finish clearing this assembly. Alright, so once I got this clearance, I will start to rotate this panel. If I see I'm going to have any collision anywhere, then I'll just straighten that arm out a bit more, and you can see it separates from inside there. And once I have absolute clearance, I can complete the full rotation and bring it up. Okay. Again, a little bit of cleanup. Let's go ahead and take this sandwich board, lock it in place there, bring the arm down and out a little bit, and do a little bit of cleanup here. Fold the back arm panel down, and you can really see that the bot's starting to take shape. Okay. Now that I'm here, I can also complete the rotation of this head assembly by bringing it down like this and folding the chest and the waist pieces down and locking them behind these two pieces right here. Okay. Now, what you're going to want to do is, you don't want these all the way up right now. You want to give yourself a little bit of room, so bend them out. And the reason is because there's some back assemblies that you have to take care of. Go ahead and rotate this piece up. There are two tabs right here, I think you can see, that are going to tab in these spots right here. Okay. In order to get that to go, you can go ahead and start rotating that in now. But go ahead and move these bottom panels out of the way. Put them up in the position that they're basically going to stand in the bot mode. Because you need this opening to clear this space to come through. Okay. So once you have that, go ahead and rotate this piece in and allow those clips to go in those slots. Okay. Like that. And then this piece that was like this in the truck mode, you can go ahead and rotate this down now and have them stick up as the upper shoulders, and then come up here and rotate this piece all the way over like this. Okay. And once you have that, you can see from the top that there are these two tabs here, what's really nice about them is that they're actually clips, hooks, that go like this, that will clip into the upper section of this hole right here. And that's really nice, because in the original toy they were just little pegs that didn't even have a friction hold in place, and they really didn't need them because these doors would hold everything in place. But in this case, they've made it so that there's actually grip and they clip in on the underside of the hole, and that's really nice. You can push it down a little bit to get the hook in, but once it's there, it's going to hold until you push this down and release that. So do that on both sides. Okay. And then once you have that, you can go ahead and close these doors. Okay. And then come around back, and just for detail, go ahead and fold those down. They're supposed to be down, of course. Okay. And you basically have the back and the front of Prime transformed. Okay. Last detail on the upper body really is the hands, which are facing backwards. This is what it'll look like anyway. You can take the hands, rotate them around, reposition the double jointed fingers however you want, and get them to the point where you're more or less happy with where you want them to be. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay. And then we can turn our attention to the legs, which were folded at the time like this. You can now take it and straighten them out as you like. Okay. Separate them, of course. Okay. And this part, I used to have trouble with this part, even in the original Voyager toy version, because it always seemed like when you clip this piece together, they were held together extremely firmly, which is good from a transformation standpoint and sort of secure locking mechanisms. But pulling it apart always seemed to be a little bit of trouble for me. I finally figured out how to do it so that you get no force involved. Because it always felt to me like when I finally pulled it apart that I was applying too much force, and that might be stressing some joints or some tabs that I couldn't quite identify where it was. And even now I don't really know where it is, but I know how to manage it. So let me show you what I figured out. First off, take the wheels and take them and get them out of the way. Right, so of course that swings up and folds away in the mechanism. And right here, this is held in place by a peg down here. You're just going to want to pull it apart a little bit until it's free, and then bend it down and get it behind the wheel. But once you're there, there is a lock mechanism. I think they happen somewhere in here and in here. But you'll notice there's a color separation between these two spaces. What you want to do is you want to put your thumb on this gray piece here, on this notch, and here on the blue piece, because what you want to do is you want to rotate this piece out. When you do, you'll get a separation like that, and you can see it didn't even really make a sound. If you're pulling this piece out to do the transformation, you hear a big loud pop or feel a lot of resistance, you're probably putting stress on the toy, and you want to avoid that. So do what I just did. Thumb here, and rotate them apart till you get the scapping. And once you do, you'll be able to grab this piece right here and just start rotating it out in the transformation. Okay, you see how that goes? Another thing I'll point out too is if you keep rotating this, eventually you're going to get collision from the foot on this back area here. So when you get about part way, go ahead and start rotating this foot up this way so that you clear this space from colliding with this space, and then complete the rotation all the way around. Okay? And once you get that done, go ahead and turn the toe out, because it was turned around for truck mode, and you've got your completed transformed leg. So let's go ahead and do that on the other side as well. Same thing here. Take a look at the blue and the gray. Position your thumbs, your fingers in a way that allows you to separate in this space, and rotate this out like this. Alright, so you create that separation. And then once you have that, you can grab this piece right here and just start to rotate it. Okay. When you get part way out, go ahead and turn this foot out to free yourself from a back collision on the back wheel, and then complete the full rotation. Okay. Just like that. Turn the toe around. Complete your wheels if you hadn't done that already. Okay. And then of course the front kneecaps, pull them out. Alright, let me adjust my camera really quickly here. And then what I like to do is, I've always felt like the legs were a little bit on the straight side. I like to give it one click bend on both sides for the stance. And because the legs have a really nice, or the feet I should say, have a really nice pivot joint, you can get a pretty good A stance. And the swivels in here, I like to turn out a tad. And you can get a really good stand on him. And of course, let's go over the back and get these tanks. And so of course this is these tanks have the pegs and the rounded in the back that peg into these holes here. You can see two of them on the back panels. What I like to do is align them directionally with these silver guides. Get them plugged in like that. And then once that's done, rotate them till they touch. Okay, right there like that. Got a pretty good look on the back. And then, do one more camera adjustment here. You've got a completed, transformed Evasion mode Optimus Prime. It's a very fun process. I rather enjoy it myself. You know, you could argue that it's the same as transforming it from a robot to truck, but just in reverse. But you know, I tend to feel that that's not necessarily the case. There's a certain amount of joy that I get from going from one mode to the next, and they don't just feel like a reverse process from one to the other, and is quite satisfying. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. I'm going to go ahead and make one more video after this one, which will go over comparisons to other toys, such as the MPP-01, the MP-10, maybe even the Age of Extinction Leader class Optimus Prime that was released a few years back, but give you a sense of what the size comparisons are in the different modes. So stay tuned for just one more video, and I hope you enjoyed this one. And like if you enjoyed it, and leave a comment if you've got anything you want to share or say. Thanks a lot.